Hey everyone, welcome to a new tutorial. In this video I will show you how to crochet a granny square scarf. You can find the written instructions on wilma.com. I will put the link in the description below. If this is the first time you're watching my videos, please subscribe to my channel and click on the bell button. This way you will receive notifications when I upload new free patterns. For this scarf I've used Lion Brand Touch of Alpaca and hook size 8mm. I've used a 10mm hook for the edge. First you will need to make 6 squares and 16 triangles. I've made a separate video tutorial for the squares and triangles. I will put the link in the description below. So once you have all the squares and triangles, put them in this position with the good sides facing upwards. Slip stitch everything together using a loose tension. I will now show you how to do it. So start by making a slip knot and put the pieces with the good sides facing out. And make sure that the stitches align. So the first puff stitch should be the first puff stitch. And attach in a stitch or chain next to the puff stitch. So for example the turning chain. And I usually start in a chain in the corner, so one of the chain twos. Like this. Then you grab your yarn and you pull through like a slip stitch. And then you work in the front loop of the puff stitch, which is the loop facing you. And in the back loop of the other puff stitch, which is the loop furthest away, and you pull through. Then you go to the chain, and you insert the hook in the front loop, and in the chain in the back loop. So we always work in the front loop, which is the loop facing you, and the back loop, which is the loop furthest away. Now go ahead and slip stitch until the end of the row and make sure to use a loose tension. You don't want your stitches to be too tight. I'm at the end and I work the last slip stitch in the first chain in the corner. And now repeat this for all the squares and triangles and I will see you at the end. I started with this one and then I worked the second one, which is going over the first one. So I wanted to show you the last part because it's the most challenging one, because you have to join here, you have to join here, here. So I will continue working like I showed you before, like a slip stitch in the front and in the back loop. Okay, so I just finished the last puff stitch, and what I do is I work another slip stitch in the chain in the corner. Let's see, find the chain, I think it's this one. And then let me remove the stitch marker so it will be a bit easier. And in the next chain, and then here the first chain. If you look from this side, it's the first chain, and then the second chain is here, and then here the chain on that side. So I got all 3 pieces on my hook now, and I slip stitch through all. And then I continue with the puff stitch and the puff stitch. So I work a slip stitch in the puff stitch, And usually I make another extra slip stitch to loosen up a bit. So let's see, where will I insert my hook? Just do here. And then here. And like this. So I usually start in the loops of the side of the puff stitch, and then I work the first slip stitch in the chain 2 of the square, like this, and then the front loop of the puff and the back loop of the puff. I'm working in the last puff stitch now. Then I will work in the chain in the corner, which is hard to see. Okay, and then I will slip stitch over this one, working in the chain in the corner, like this. And then I continue working like I did before. Again, I'm working an extra stitch just to loosen up a bit, like this. This is what it looks like, but of course the scarf still needs blocking, so then it will be perfectly smooth. I highly recommend adding an extra row of slip stitches here, because it will make the scarf look nicer. I recommend using a bigger hook, and I'm using 10mm. So I will continue working in one of the corners. I make a turning chain and just work 2 slip stitches in each gap, and you will notice that the second slip stitch will be a bit more difficult to make. So I will show you a trick how to make the second slip stitch, which is turning your hook like this. But just go ahead, work some slip stitches, and you will find a way that works for you. So we need to work 2 slip stitches in each gap and try to keep the distance between the gaps as small as possible. Also try to keep a loose tension. So as you can see, this will result in a very nice playful edge. Now go ahead and keep working all around the scarf until you're back here. Here you can see the difference between an edge on the right and no edge on the left. It's now time to block your scarf using a blocking mat and pins. Pin the scarf in the right position and spray wet with water. Let it dry and the scarf will stay in this shape. Optionally, you can add tassels to the ends of your scarf. I decided to use 4 tassels on each side, and I will now show you how to make tassels. If you don't have a tassel maker, you can also use your phone or a notebook. And that's it. I hope you guys liked this tutorial. Please give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments which yarn and colors you are going to use. Hope to see you next time. Bye!